Hi all, before they start their next little jazz set, we have about 4 minutes and then we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha White. My pronouns are she and her, and I am honored to welcome you to the Ethical Society of St. Louis. We are an ethical humanist community where people come together to explore big questions, live with intention, and work toward a more just and compassionate world. This fall, our programming explores humanist belief that positive change comes from human efforts. And to do that well, the ways we communicate, collaborate, and connect with one another truly matter. That message has been especially alive this weekend as we welcomed Hemant Mehta, the Friendly Atheist, for a series of talks and conversations. We had a really awesome forum. I hope that you all were able to be there this morning. It's been wonderful to see so many people from across the secular, humanist, and interfaith community come through our doors to learn, laugh, and connect with us. This morning, Hemant will invite us to think about how humanists can adapt our communication in a rapidly changing media world, and how telling our stories in new ways can help amplify our voices and strengthen the communities that we're building. Whether this is your first Sunday with us or you've been a part of this community for years, we are glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. As we begin, please take a moment to silence your devices so that we can stay fully present with one another. This morning, we're joined by the Ethical Band, an ensemble of our own talented Ethical Society members and friends who bring so much heart, energy, and community spirit to our Sunday gatherings. They'll open with "You Get What You Give" by New Radicals, an anthem of resilience, optimism, and refusing to give up on each other. A perfect way to start our morning together. Please welcome the Ethical Band.
Wake up, kids, we got the dreamer's disease. Age 14, they got you down on your knees. So polite, we're busy still saying please. Frenemies, who when you're down ain't your friend. Every night we smash a Mercedes Benz. First we run, but then we laugh till we cry. Coming on, babe, you're the tops. Give it to me now. 4 a.m., we ran a miracle mile. We're flat broke, but hey, we do it in style. The bad rich guys flying in for your trial. But when the night is falling, you cannot find a friend. The whole damn world can fall apart. You'll be okay. Follow your heart. You're in harm's way. I'm right behind. Now say you're mine. You got the music in you. Don't let go. You got the music in you. One dance left. This world is gonna pull through. Don't give up, you've got a reason to live. Can't forget, you only get what you give. Don't let go, you're gonna get what you give.
I don't know if you felt the same vibration and energy that I did from up here, but that was so great. Thank you, Ethical Band. And I forgot to mention, if you find that you need earplugs for the next 2 sets, they're in the back. Help yourself. Each week, we read our youth education core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. This morning, our core values reader is Milo Trayman.
Every person is important in an equal way. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everyone. I am a part of this earth. I can cherish it and all the life upon it. I learn from the world around me by using the senses, mind, and feelings. I am a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people in peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what I believe. I accept responsibility for my choices and actions. I strive to live my values.
Thank you so much, Milo. These values remind us that community members of all ages help make this place what it is. We are truly fortunate. Now, thank you all to the youth for joining us this morning. We'll see you again after platform. Have really great programs. Okay, please join me in welcoming the Ethical Band back to the stage. Their next piece, People Have the Power by Patti Smith, is a reminder that ordinary people working together really can shape the world.
Where there were deserts, I saw fountains. Like cream, the waters rise. And we strolled there all together, with none to laugh or criticize. And the leopard and the lamb lay together, truly bound. I was hoping, in my hoping, to recall what I had found. I was dreaming, in my dreaming, God knows, a pure view as I lay down. The people have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. The power to dream, to rule, to wrestle this earth from fools. It's decreed, the people rule. It's decreed, the people rule. Listen, I believe everything we dream can come to pass through our union. We can turn the world around, can turn the earth's revolution. We have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. The power to dream, to rule, to wrestle this world from fools. It's decreed, the people rule. It's decreed, the people rule. We have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power. The people have the power.
You all are so good, and we're so lucky that you keep coming back and gracing us with this amazing music. Okay, before our main address, we like to take a moment for mindfulness. Sometimes our minds feel crowded with thoughts and worries. I invite you now to clear a little space, let your shoulders relax, soften your gaze, or close your eyes, and bring your attention to your breath. Take special notice of the steady rhythm of your inhale and exhale. And with each breath, let yourself feel a little more grounded and a little more present. We'll take one quiet minute together, and as you breathe, let your body release what it doesn't need and welcome in a sense of calm. Thank you. This morning, we're delighted to welcome Hemant Mehta, writer, speaker, activist, and the creator behind FriendlyAtheist.com. Hemant is a longtime voice in the national humanist and atheist landscape. Many know him from his videos, articles, and podcasts, where he breaks down religion, politics, culture, and ethics with clarity, curiosity, and a sense of humor. Hemant is a former National Board certified math teacher, and he now coaches a nationally ranked public speaking team, writes crossword puzzles for the New York Times and Slate, and is a Jeopardy champion. Pretty impressive. This weekend's programming has been made possible through the generosity of the Nick Pacino Speaker Fund, created in memory of Nick Pacino, who was a longtime member and past president of our board, and whose deep commitment to learning, free inquiry, and open expression continues to shape our community today. We are also grateful to the Cheshire Hotel, our corporate sponsor and partner, for their support in welcoming Hemant to St. Louis. Today, he will explore how humanists can rethink the way we communicate in a digital age. As books give way to videos, podcasts in short form, storytelling online, he'll challenge us to consider how we can share our values more effectively and reach people who are joining and looking for communities like this one. Please join me in welcoming Hemant Mehta.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay? All right. That QR code is for my newsletter. If anyone's interested in signing up, you can do that for free. That's the last time I will plug it. How many of you were not here yesterday and this is the first time this weekend you were coming to see something? That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming here and having me here. So I had a choice of what I wanted to talk about, and this is one of the topics that I've been really passionate about for quite some time, mostly because I think a lot of the people in this room are either media consumers, you care deeply about what information is being put out into the world, you're disturbed by a lot of the information that is put out into the world, and this is something that is important to me specifically as an atheist because I feel like we've dropped the ball on this, and I think a lot of the stuff I'm going to say, even if you're not an atheist, is stuff that hopefully will resonate with you. And I'll start with this. How many of you are old enough to remember Air America Radio? It existed for 3 minutes back in the early 2000s. But basically, this was launched, I think, in 2004, and the idea was talk radio is really big on the right. There's no equivalent to it on the left. Why don't we try to create our own version of it? And a handful of wealthy people decided to launch this radio station. Now, they filed for bankruptcy in 2010. That's why it hasn't been a thing for a while. But I'm blown away by this idea, because it seemed novel at the time, that we should invest in voices who are saying smart things that more people ought to hear. Because even though Air America basically did not work as a concept, the people they decided to platform on their radio network have gone on to very interesting careers. You may have heard of some of them. One of them is Mark Maron, who had a podcast where he interviewed comedians, and that just ended now, last month, after years. If you're looking for thoughtful discussions with interesting people, he's one of the kings of that. Another person, Al Franken, who, yes, famous comedian, but he got a radio show where he was talking about politics. It inspired him to run for the Senate, and he won that race years ago. So, it actually launched someone who got at the highest level of politics. And then the last person they really platformed was Rachel Maddow, who you may have heard of. The point being, these people, Al Franken may be excluded, they're probably not well known even to their listeners back in 2004. But by saying, hey, these are voices who are good at what they do, let's give them kind of a launching pad at least, or at least it served as a launching pad, and look what has happened since then. And the weird thing to think about is, how come we haven't done that very often since? What are the launching pads for progressive voices these days? And the answer is there really aren't that many. And the lesson here is there's value in promoting people who are already spreading a message that you resonate with. And we don't do that nearly enough. You may recall from the last election that one of the most potent forces for spreading the conservative message, it was not Fox News. It was arguably a host of podcasters and YouTubers who had massive followings, but they were all in their own little bubbles. And one of the complaints people made about Kamala Harris is that she didn't do a ton of interviews, whereas Trump was doing every interview on really weird channels. And why are you on this dude's podcast? And the answer is because that guy has a following, and I might need those followers. This is an article from Bloomberg News, and the headline's a little jokey, but not that much. The second Trump presidency brought to you by YouTubers, because they're super influential, even if you have not heard of them. One of the things that has happened because our culture is just broken up, everyone reads, follows, experiences different things is that the most famous people in some circles is someone completely unknown in so many others, and that makes it hard to get a message out. So the people who are very powerful in that world, in the YouTube podcasting right-wing space, how did they get those channels? How did they get platformed? How did they get popular? The weird thing is, in a lot of cases, they didn't necessarily earn it. It's because someone somewhere decided, you have opinions that I want more people to hear, so we're going to give you what you need to keep growing it. And I don't like where that money went, but it was effective. And I want to show you a chart that has bothered me ever since I saw it. I'll show it to you in a second. But this is something conservatives are very good at. They find talent, or what they think passes for talent, and then they invest in it. And they platform those voices, and those voices, a lot of times, grow into these powerhouses. And there is no equivalence to that on the other side. And there is a joke that I'm going to paraphrase, but I think there's some truth to it. A lot of conservative content creators have these backers who will fund what they do to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. On the left, there are $3, and it's circulated among everyone on Patreon, and that is it. And I'm not entirely exaggerating. How many of you have heard of this website, the Daily Caller? It's a very powerful right-wing media outlet. And the thing is, it was launched by Tucker Carlson several years ago, but it was launched with $3 million from a right-wing funder. And one of the people who worked for that website is Caitlin Collins, who's now the top anchor on CNN. They grew their own, and they are now powerful. This is another one, Breitbart. If you've heard of that one, they got an $11 million endowment from one of their backers a few years after they began that just escalated their reach. And one more here, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. This is Rod Dreher, who is a conservative writer and a guy who basically shills for the Hungarian autocrat Viktor Orban. It became news not that long ago that this guy's past 10 years was funded by one guy who just liked what he did, so he gave him a massive salary to just keep putting out this content because he already had a platform to begin with, and that has helped popularize threats to the liberal order. And the point is, think about how much money we are talking about, millions and millions of dollars. Think about how much staff that buys you, how much reach you can have, the professionalism of how it looks to listeners or viewers. And by the way, when you hire staff to do that stuff, you are creating another generation of people who are going to spread that stuff in the future because they're learning how to do it. And it works. This is the chart I wanted to get to. Media Matters for America did an analysis of the most popular online shows, including podcasts that have a video component. And they found that right-wing media platforms just dominate the ecosystem. So you could see in red, the bigger the bubble, the bigger reach they have, who are the biggest names who have the biggest audiences. And you could see some of the names in red. Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Theo Vaughn, Ben Shapiro, Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson. What is the biggest blue circle on this list? Trevor Noah. I am a progressive who likes The Daily Show. I did not know Trevor Noah had a podcast. It's not a thing. I've never seen it make news for anything that I particularly cared about. And where are they spreading? And by the way, just to note, look at how many large red circles there are versus how many really large blue ones there are. It dwarfs what is happening on the left. And where are they spreading this stuff? On YouTube, the red is for right-leaning shows. They have a much bigger subscriber base. They have a much bigger audience compared to left-wing shows. All platforms at the very bottom altogether, we're talking those right-wing platforms reach close to 500 million people versus about 100 million on the left. I mean, it is, and where are they doing this? yeah, you might have heard of Rumble, which is like a right-wing YouTube. Spotify is for podcasts, the streaming networks, Twitch, and, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and stuff. It's not even a competition anymore. Right-wing media just dwarfs the ecosystem completely. And, okay, why do I bring all this stuff up? Here's how I'm connecting this to, like, atheism and all the stuff I personally am connected to. I mentioned this a little bit last night for those of you who were here. If you think about the new atheism, for those of you who remember when this was a big deal in the mid-2000s, a lot of people were talking about new atheism and atheism in general. And why? Because these books started coming out one after another. They were interesting, they were well written, they appealed to a lot of people, they got a lot of press. And that's not the only reason, by the way, but like it was so big, Wired magazine had a whole article called The New Atheism, which gave them a moniker for it all. Why else were people paying attention to this stuff in the mid-2000s? I would argue we could talk about the conservative administration that was in power at the time, the rise of the internet, the fact that you could go to Google and say, what happens if I have doubts about my religion? Like, that's a question you can ask the internet instead of your pastor and get answers that make sense. That is powerful as well. There are a lot of religious scandals, too. But honestly, the fact that these books came out one after another and got people talking was pretty influential. And we can criticize the writers of those books and the way they wrote the stuff. That's a different talk. But my point is, this is not how stuff spreads anymore. If you write a book about anything, it's probably not going to spread. If you want to spread atheism and humanism and ethical values, the way to do it is not by writing a book. And I'm sad to say that, but it's unfortunately true. No one reads. Do you remember, I showed this yesterday too, there's a lot of charts that kind of have documented the decline in Christianity over the years and the rise in the religiously unaffiliated. But one of the things is that in more recent years, it looks like things have steadied. And we don't know whether the trend is going to continue. Maybe it's just steady for a little bit. Or are we seeing a reversal? Are we going back? Are people becoming religious again? And I think, here's my point of all this. If one of the main goals that a lot of people have is we want to spread our ethics, spread our values, not just atheism, but like science education and civil rights and social justice, we have to think about how we are spreading those ideas and who is doing it and how we are supporting them when they're doing it well. Because we have to cultivate and invest in the people who are doing that work well and who have their audiences and who are really creative. And unfortunately, I'm telling you this from personal experience too, a lot of the people that do that stuff are working their butts off just trying to make ends meet, because it's really hard to do this sort of thing full time. And by the way, when I say we want to invest in the people spreading these ideas, I don't care if they're atheists or not. They might be progressive Christians. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people who share our collective values, and if they're doing it well, we want to see them keep doing it, and it's really hard to do that. So this is interesting. I've worked within the atheist movement for the better part of like 25 years now. And I've met a lot of people who were deeply passionate about those causes. They wanted to volunteer for these groups. They wanted to become board members of these groups. Maybe you have seen this in your community here as well. And again, I grew up with them. I was inspired by their passion as well. And they cared about this stuff. And they didn't make a lot of money, if any, doing this. They did it because they cared. But at some point, they had to make a decision because they got older. They wanted to have careers of sorts, and we didn't have jobs for them. So they went off and did other things. Like, they would have worked for cheap, and we could not give them cheap, right? And now, a handful of those people have gone on to work for LGBTQ groups, reproductive rights groups, things like that, because they are passionate about this stuff, and that hasn't faded. But the point is, not everyone can do this sort of charity forever. So why does that matter? Because I think we lost a lot of people who were deeply passionate about secular humanism and these causes that we care about because we didn't have anywhere for them to go, because we didn't have a way to amplify their voices, because we were stuck on the same people over and over, and that just didn't help our cause. And now, there have been a couple of attempts to try to monetize atheism the same way religious groups do with their voices as well. I've worked for a couple of them. I will tell you, whether it's Patheos, which is a website for like religious and non-religious thought, at some point they said, you know what, the people who want to buy ads from us are all religious, and it doesn't look good when all of our hits are coming from the atheist side of the website, so we're going to just say no to the atheism stuff, because they couldn't monetize what we were doing. Only Sky launched as a website to platform atheists run by a Silicon Valley guy. It didn't work. They couldn't figure out how to monetize it. And again, that happens. But I also think about how many of you ever became an atheist partly because you read blog posts or you saw videos back in the day from people whose voices you admired. There are a few hands going up, and I think about some of those websites or blog networks or anything, none of them exist anymore. If they do, they are shells of what they used to be. And this is just the internet culture in general. There are like a lot of websites that used to have funding and advertising have just gone out of business. People whose writing I admired are like, I don't have a job anymore. And so many of them are trying to do it, but if they do, they just got to do it on their own and figure it out as they go along. Now, can you imagine what would have happened if those people could do the work they do without having to worry about where their next paycheck was coming from? And by the way, maybe you were thinking at some point here, but wait, I have seen people who are promoting atheism, humanism online. Like, I've seen their videos, I've watched their shows, I've seen Matt Dillahunty or Seth Andrews or Rebecca Watson. Like, there are also humanist chaplains, there are ethical societies, yes. So over the past several months, I've been talking to many of the people who do this sort of work for a living, where they are making videos about these sorts of topics, they write about this stuff, not just videos, but like podcasts, TikTokers. A lot of them have day jobs that have nothing to do with this stuff. A lot of them have a spouse who may be able to earn enough of an income to allow the other person to do this sort of thing for a hobby. Only a handful of people do any of this stuff full time. Only a handful. It's a struggle. Like, they're all trying to figure out how to stay afloat. I think of a politician I know who lives in the Midwest. She is a state lawmaker. Her day job is working a tiny store, because they don't make a big salary if you're a legislator in her state, so she has to get by like running a business, which is great. She loves the business. She loves it more than she loves politics. But it's like, no, you're an amazing politician. I want you to focus on that full time. She can't. There's no vehicle for her to do that, and she's not the sort of person that's going to take lobbyist money or PAC money or anything like that. So how does it work in our world? It's different for everyone, but it tends to be a mix. How do any of these people make money? Ad revenue from podcasts or YouTube channels, maybe direct support from fans on Patreon or Substack or something. But the problem with that is algorithms change, platforms change, pay structures change. It is hard to plan for the future when all these websites seem to change on a dime. I'll give you one example of this. I know a YouTube creator with close to 1 million subscribers. And he makes videos that are really compelling. They are long, thoughtful, researched videos. He made one recently about how after the Great Depression, big corporations used to spread bigotry against atheists to convince Christians to vote for conservative politicians. I did not know that history after the Great Depression, but there you go. All of that video was based on the work of a historian, Kevin Cruz. It was a ton of research. This YouTuber paid someone to help him put together the script for that video, and the end result got about 300,000 views within maybe the first week. And that sounds pretty good. 300,000 means it's going outside of our circles and being recommended to people who don't normally watch those videos. And even after thinking about all of that, he told me he lost money on that project. When you incorporate how much ad revenue he made from that video, he lost money on the project. And like, what's the incentive then for someone like him to keep making those videos? At some point, he has to decide, you know what, it's not working out. I got to move to a different career, which is disappointing only because he's making thoughtful, creative stuff that I want people to hear. Now, what if in the middle of one of those videos, he could chime in and just say, here's what happened after the Great Depression. By the way, this video was brought to you by the Ethical Society of St. Louis. They didn't have any input into the content of this video, but they support the work I do, and I support the work they do. Have you seen that before? Why not? And by the way, we could play this game with Name Your Atheist Group here, right? Like, I'm not saying anyone should just give these creators giant piles of cash or anything, but my point is, if there was a way to amplify these voices that are doing good work, more people would hear this message that we all care so much about. And we don't always have to look to people already in our community to do that. What's frustrating to me is I've seen a lot of these people. Maybe you listen to podcasts, watch YouTubers who talk about issues we all care about, and in the middle of the video, they're like, this is brought to you by, like, stamps.com. It's like, I get it. That happens on podcasts I listen to all the time. Why is Stamps paying for this podcast? Like, why aren't the groups that have a vested interest in this topic giving them support for what the work they're doing? Like, how come the American Humanists Association is not doing that with the understanding that whatever video you make, it'll be tastefully, thoughtfully done, right? And we've spent so many years also, for those of you who have been in this movement for a long time, there's been a lot of talk. I mentioned those new atheists a little bit ago. There's a common complaint that has been around for many years about, like, who are the most famous atheists in the country? It's a lot of older white guys. There's nothing wrong with that, but if those are the only voices we hear, we're shutting out a lot of people who might be receptive to our ideas because they don't really necessarily want to hear from someone who doesn't understand where they're coming from. Where are the people of color who are atheists? Where are the women? They're out there, but they're not getting platform necessarily. And the way to change that is by supporting the women, the people of color who are doing that work. Now, that sounds great, but we don't have the money to pull it off, do we? Right? Like, that's one of the concerns. Like, all right, well, we don't have the wealthy donors with millions of dollars to throw around. But I will tell you this. A lot of you are members of some of these organizations, and I'm telling you, they have some money. I'll give you some examples of this. The Center for Inquiry, they run a yearly contest asking high school seniors to make a 30-second video promoting science. It's like a scholarship. Make a video promoting science, 30 seconds long. The best one, what's the prize? It's $10,000, which is a crazy amount of money to give any high schooler. But also, like, that's an awesome goal. Like, science saves. I like the cause. That's a good thing. Their website, by the way, I don't know if you could see it here, but it says, by amplifying pro-science voices and showing how science makes life better for everyone, we are building a culture that not only accepts science, but celebrates it. And that sounds awesome. And by the way, I've watched some of these videos. They're pretty good. It's a huge investment. The winner gets $10,000 for a 30-second video, and this whole Science Saves campaign has cost the donor who is funding it, I think, $1.25 million over the course of, I want to do this for like 10 plus years. Like, they're spending a lot of money to make this happen. Here's the thing. I went to go watch all of these winning videos from the 4 years they have done it so far. And they are fine. Like, they're well done. These high school students did a good job. Combined, every single one of these videos that won money combined has under 10,000 views. You know what that means on YouTube? Nothing. It means nothing. No one's watching this stuff. They're not changing the culture. But those videos, the first prize winners, that's $40,000. I mean, meanwhile, I'm telling you, and maybe you've seen this, there are people on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram that make amazing science content. And they're like, I don't know if I'm going to get another paycheck, so maybe I'm just going to stop doing this. Like, they're so good at what they do, but they're going to stop because no one else thinks it's worthwhile, right? This is also true of essay contests. There's the thing about the Science Saves campaign. But this is also true of essay contests. I love the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They do amazing work. This year, they said they have essay contests for students, and they're giving away more than $70,000 in scholarships, which, by the way, back in the day, I won one of those essay contests. I'm deeply grateful for a group like this that gave me, not that much, but like they gave me something for an essay, and that's awesome. But here's the thing about these essays. FFRF publishes those essays in their newsletter. Have you read them? I tried to track this stuff as much as I can. I've never seen one that goes beyond the pages of their newsletter. It doesn't change the conversation, is my point. And again, I don't want to knock anyone writing those essays, because good for them for doing it. But if no one's reading it, no one's talking about it, what is the benefit to a group like this for promoting it? When you could be supporting someone who's actually doing work on the ground instead of just a good student who knows how to write an essay, right? And like, I want to be clear, I'm not knocking the students. Many of them may dedicate their lives to promoting these causes, but I want to promote people who are doing the work on the ground. So think about what you could do. Oh, this is another thing. FFRF also does this. This is a full-page ad they ran in the New York Times. I think this sort of ad costs upwards of $100,000. And I'm assuming a donor gave them the money to pay for it, because there's no way people are filling out that coupon on the bottom and sending in a donation worth that much to make it worthwhile. But this is what they're doing. And again, if a donor wants to do it, fine, but I'm like wondering, do you know how many videos, podcasts, creators you could support for a fraction of that? Think about what you could do. With $10,000, which is the amount you got for that 30-second video, you could give away microphones, editing software, professional lighting, people to help write scripts if that's what you do. With $70,000, you could help a couple of people quit their part-time jobs so they could focus on this stuff full-time. Like, there's another group. This is not a national group, but like, they said we are awarding $750 to people that make videos that answer the following question: how can our nation truly offer liberty and justice for all? Make a video for that. And if you are the winner, we'll give you $750. I checked out last year's winning video. It was posted by the person who submitted it on Instagram. How many likes did it have? 2. And one of them was from the group. I don't know. By the way, this year's winner was a collection of stock footage. Just a couple seconds of like a flag waving in the background and a voiceover just answering the question. At this point, you could chat GPT this thing, right? So here's my point. How many people could we be supporting for that kind of money? Not tens of thousands of dollars, but like hundreds of dollars at a time, and you could be building a whole group of people who are amplifying your message. How much professional equipment could you get for people who show signs of being like the next Richard Dawkins, minus everything we don't like about Richard Dawkins, right? Like, there are people who are educational and clever and entertaining and progressive and who have good values and who know how to spread the message. And if you can't think of any, ask someone who is like 12 years old. They will point them out to you because they are watching them and they know who good people are. And that's the thing. There are people already doing this work and they're doing it well, and I don't know who they are because I am 40 and I am not cool and I'm not really on TikTok, but like I know they are out there and they're trying to make a living off of this, and it's the left that has done a bad job of giving them the tools they need to do it. And I'm just telling you, talking about humanism and ethics, it doesn't get you sponsorship deals like talking about makeup. And it doesn't get you book deals like talking about Christianity will. But we will not get supported unless people in the movement support the work that's going on. So I think we need to be doing that. I'll skip ahead to some of the caveats here, but I think it is more powerful to find people already doing work we admire and telling them we support the work they do. There's a media critic, Parker Malloy. She put it this way in the top paragraph: Progressive donors need to take a page from the conservative playbook by making long-term, substantial investments in digital media with fewer strings attached. They need to fund not just serious policy content, but also entertainment, comedy, sports, lifestyle content that can reach beyond the already converted. And that is not talking, if you think about what some of these atheist groups, church-state separation groups do, they fund lawsuits, which I like. I want them to fight those battles. But outside of like the lawsuits, I don't know, are they promoting pop culture? No, they're not. I would love to see more content from people who can give me a recap of the Mormon Wives show and do it from a perspective that is critical of that environment. I think that would be useful. Did you know that one of the WNBA's biggest stars, someone who I watched when she played college hoops, and she talked about Jesus in every single press conference she did, is now dating a woman? It's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story from a religious perspective. And like no one on the left, as far as I could tell, was talking about it because no one had that kind of expertise in both of those worlds. You know what I mean? But on the right, that would be a 19-day story. Like, that's the point, because they have people who are comedians. They have people who talk about pop culture and how it relates to this stuff, and they can keep doing that. For what it's worth, I have seen content creators online on the left who actually try to do all this. This is a video called How Mormonism Creates Swingers, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It's fantastic. This is 12 radical teachings of Jesus that American Christians have abandoned from the channel Jezebel Vibes. This is Black Atheist, Awkward Experiences with Friends, Work, Dating, and Family. And this is just a picture, but the video was called How I Overcame a Fear of Hell, Life After Religion. And those last two videos are made by people who no longer make content because they couldn't find a way to make it work financially. But those first two videos are made by people who are still doing this stuff, and I genuinely wonder, how long are they going to keep doing it? Because I don't know that they're going to be able to do it for much longer, which is sad because their videos are so much more interesting than so much other stuff that is out there that just spends like hours and hours debating the existence of God. And they reach people who are not interested in that conversation, but who want to hear their perspective on this stuff. So let me close. I want to leave you on an optimistic note here. I was watching this video. This is by Drew McCoy. He is on YouTube as Genetically Modified Skeptic, and he makes fantastic videos. And I was watching one of his videos recently, and he was talking about Christian education, which is what he grew up with. I forget if he's homeschooled or what, was homeschooled or what, but he was talking about textbooks and what he learned, in big quotation marks, with this Christian education. And check out what he recently did. I hope this works. Let's find out.
So now the state can take your tax dollars out of a public school with, standards, and instead give them to a church-run school to teach your kids that the earth is 6,000 years old and that slavers in the Old South were actually very nice to the people they forced into slavery. Seriously, those are real lessons from the popular Christian Abeka curriculum.
Evolution, a retreat from science. The North and the South argue.
Yeah, this is why we need nonprofit organizations like the Freedom from Religion Foundation, who put themselves on the front lines in the war for separation of church and state. That's what FFRF does. When Christian nationalists violate the Constitution, their legal team takes it to court. When someone plots against secularism, they publish resources which expose that plot. I've been a member of FFRF for 7 years now because their work is so crucial. You should become a member right now. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Members get regular exclusive updates on the most important legal battles being fought for church-state separation, plus secular news. We get access to their annual conference. We get opportunities to join campaigns to fight for our rights alongside FFRF. We get a subscription to their newspaper, Free Thought Today. And most importantly, we get to empower an expert legal team to protect church-state separation in the U.S.
That's not stamps.com. Like, I was blown away because I'd never seen any of like the church-state atheist groups do anything like that. And I asked Drew, how the hell did that happen? And he basically said FFRF wanted to grow their online presence, and they worked out a plan. They knew he was going to make this video, and they're like, can we get behind that? Can we pay you to just give us a shout out somewhere in your video on this? And we trust you're going to do a good job with it because we've seen the work you do. And I assume they just gave him a bag of cash with the $sign somewhere on it. Like, that's brilliant. Because that video was seen by way more people than FFRF is going to reach through their newsletters and emails, and it's a totally different audience. Why aren't more groups doing that? And by the way, since then, I mentioned downstairs, I'll come back to that in a second. We mentioned downstairs, the American Humanists Association gave me an award recently for media work. And one of the things, they gave me like a few minutes to talk to them. I gave a very short version of this talk right here, arguing that, hey, you're a group that cares about this stuff. What are you doing to promote this sort of work? Because the AHA is a big group. You can pull this off. And the day after, the executive director of the AHA, Fish Stark, he came up to me. He's like, this is not public yet. However, there is someone who works with, or who's a member of our organization who said, we should do that. How about I give the organization enough funding to make that happen? And you figure out how it works. And this is what Fish posted later. We just launched a 6-figure humanist creator fund to combat the far right's dominance in online media. When young people look for purpose, we want them to find our people, not hacks like Jordan Peterson. But they actually have already put this into effect. They just launched with 4 people as their first cohort. You just saw Drew a second ago on the left there. But they also have these other YouTubers who, by the way, include a woman, include a man of color, like who are offering very different perspectives. Like Durante on the right there is a former pastor who kind of dissects the Bible in his videos. Alyssa is a former Mormon who talks about her experience growing up in the Mormon church. And Apostate Aladdin is an ex-Muslim who talks about this stuff. And here's the thing, I'm on YouTube all the time. I was not familiar with the last 3, but that's the beauty of this. They are finding people who are talking about issues people care about who may not have the platforms or the connections in our world, and they're saying, we like the work you do. Give us a shout out in your videos. We will help you out too. And they're starting this. They're already expanding to more places. They said after they start YouTube and work out the kinks, they will try to do it with Instagram and TikTok, which is where younger people are making their content these days. And this is their way of saying, we want to spread the work you're doing because rising tide, right? It lifts all boats. So that is fantastic. And I just want you to know, like, I realize it's very easy to say he's doing this because he's also a content creator. I genuinely mean this to say, like, I'm one of the few people who is doing this full time, but they're not. They should be. I want more people like that doing it. And there are smart ways for donors in our world. And every big organization, including the Ethical Society, has people who have resources. But this is one I really admired. A couple years ago, Todd Stiefel, who is a big donor in the free thought world, this is in 2022, Religion News Service is a wire service that writes articles about religion. It's like the Associated Press, but they focus specifically on religion, and they have writers who are experts in the world of various religious thinking. He gave them a $300,000 grant and said, I want you to keep reporting, but specifically I want you to focus on white Christian nationalism and the dangers it poses to democracy. He has no say in what they cover. He doesn't get to tell them what to write, certainly not what slant to take. That would go against their journalistic ethics. But he said, either hire someone to focus on that beat, or if you need to travel, send a reporter to a conference so they can talk about this. This is an issue that matters to him. And it was a big enough issue that Religion News Service said, yeah, we will gladly fund work so we can cover this movement. By the way, 2 years prior to this, Stiefel also gave them a certain amount of money and said, you know what we never see articles about in any newspaper I read? Articles about atheism. And yet there's so much happening in the non-religious world. Meanwhile, if some random religious institution has like a conference, or a leader in that community passes away, or something like there's a leadership change, it's big news everywhere. There are articles covering it. Why is that not happening for us? He said, can I give you a grant so you could hire someone to specifically cover the atheism beat? And they also agreed on that. For 2 years, they had someone whose articles would appear in the Washington Post and other newspapers about atheism. I love that. It's not even an ideological thing. That's just him saying there's a lot of stories in rooms like this. Why aren't they being told? So I will close with this. People like me can not write about this stuff or create anything that we're doing without the work of people like you in this room. I think please support the Ethical Society if you're not already, but also as the Ethical Society. You all have a message. You had that lovely young boy reading those values a second ago. You want to spread those values. There are people who are already doing that, and they're doing it really well. Find a way to support them too. I know not everyone has the funds to pull that off, but I'm saying the way you subscribe to a newspaper, you can subscribe to the people who are making content you like, and I urge you to do that. Pay it forward and create that environment, because right now it's not there, but it's starting. So I'm excited to see that. So I will stop there. Thank you so much for coming here, and I'll be around right after this, wherever the coffee is, in case you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for this really thoughtful presentation and for an amazing weekend. We are super fortunate from the Nick Pacino Fund that we were able to have you with us this weekend. Thank you. All of our mission-driven work at the Ethical Society is made possible through the generosity of our members and friends. At this time, our ushers will begin passing the collection basket. Many of our members give online or through an annual pledge. For those who'd like to give today, the baskets and the QR code on the screen are simple ways to join in. Every contribution helps brings our mission to life. If you'd like to stay connected to the Ethical Society, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for updates, or check out our involvement checklist for ways to connect with social and service opportunities that feel meaningful to you. Now let's take a moment to hear some announcements about what's coming up in the life of our community. The Stewardship Committee reminds you that we are looking for donors to make a commitment to the matching fund for the 2026 pledge campaign. All pledge increases will be matched, and the money from the matching fund will go towards the compensation of a new leader. If you are interested in being a matching fund donor, send an email to the Stewardship Committee or click on the QR code to make a commitment. You can find the stewardship email on the website. For those who have already contributed to the matching fund, the Stewardship Committee extends our deepest appreciation. All right, I told you to put your phones on silent earlier. I'm telling you to pull your calendars out right now. So to mark them for our annual winter celebration on Sunday, December 14th. The evening begins with a community meal at 5:30 p.m. And at 6:30, we will gather in this space for a secular solstice-inspired lessons and carols program featuring music, readings, candlelight. Any kiddos desiring a more youth-centric space can check out our glow party downstairs at the same time. I'm thinking that glow party sounds pretty fun. And from 7:30 to 8:30, enjoy caroling and festive fun downstairs. Good Cheer is one of our most joyful intergenerational events, and we hope that you'll join us on December 14th. And then for that event, you have the opportunity to sing with the Ethical Voices and members of the Continuum Vocal Ensemble for this year's Good Cheer. Rehearsals will be on the evening of Thursday, December 11th at 6:30 p.m. and in the afternoon on Saturday, December 13th at 1 p.m. All voices are welcome. If you have been in Ethical Voices before, watch for an email coming shortly. And bring a friend. Help us make this year's Good Cheer a truly special event. Contact our music director, Michael Engelhardt, via email at music@ethicalstl.org. Again, music@ethicalstl.org. Okay. Let's welcome the Ethical Band one more time. They'll close their set with I'm Amazed by My Morning Jacket, a song that celebrates the wonder we find in each other.
Test, test. Hey, all right. So we'll go around and point out some people and names, all these wonderful people on the stage. Again, on drums, we have Andy Orhood. On bass, we've got Sandy Sansing. On electric guitar and some trumpet earlier, we've got Sean O'Hara. On electric guitar, we've got Kyle Nienhaus. On acoustic guitar, we've got Eric Ray. On vocals today, we have Nikki Nienhaus and myself, Eric Compton. And we want to welcome to the stage for the first time, the Ethical Band stage, Gary Rickard on acoustic guitar and Alex Kolchitsky on piano. Quiet ocean, I'm amazed at your warm devotion. I'm amazed at what the people are saying. I'm amazed by a divided nation. Like a rhythm of the earth, I get disrupted. All that has been, I'm amazed at all that will be. I'm amazed at the TV stations. I'm amazed what they want me to believe. After all is said and done, where is the justice? I'm amazed at the lack of faith. I'm amazed at the love we're rejecting. I'm amazed what we accept in its place. Like a rhythm of the earth, like a rhythm of the ages. Disrupted.
My Morning Jacket's my favorite band, and you all did it justice. We don't actually have any time for announcements. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
My son was born. It's really cute. He's out back.
Yeah. Yes, our newest Ethical Society member in the back. Thank you to Hemant Mehta for being with us this weekend and for encouraging us to think more boldly. Yes. About how we share our message with the world. We are a community with a long and meaningful history, decades of ethical action, learning, and connection, and we want that story to continue to grow. There are so many people in St. Louis who would feel at home here, who are looking for a community grounded in reason, compassion, and shared values, and simply don't yet know that we exist. Hemant's message reminds us that staying relevant means staying engaged, experimenting with new ways to communicate, telling our stories openly, and amplifying the values we live every day. Ethical humanism calls us to keep learning, to seek truth, to listen across differences, and to let our actions reflect the values that we claim. How we show up in our conversations, online presence, and daily interactions, and who we give our money to shapes the impact we have on the world around us. After platform, we hope you'll join us downstairs for coffee and community. He's already down there waiting for you all. And you'll find conversation cards to spark reflections, a continuing the conversation table to carry on today's discussion, and our library table with resources on humanism and social connections. As you move into the week ahead, I invite you to consider the small ways you can help extend our reach through a conversation, something you choose to share online, or by inviting someone who might be longing for a community like this one to our space. Every gesture helps widen the circle and strengthens the community that we're building together. Thank you so much for being here today, and please stick around and engage with each other. Thank you.